talking about masters and we're talking about excellence and we're trying to make you guys the best we can, I don't know everything about you. You guys know everything about you. You're the masters, or mum's the master, but you're the masters, okay? So while this course is trying to enhance you and help you, you're actually the best advert for your product ever. So your product lives and dies with you and your approach and what you do and the way you care for it. It's like anything else. It happens to be you, but if it's a pair of shoes, if it's your car, if it's your bike you train on, whatever it is, the way you look after it will be the way it treats you back, and it's exactly the same with you guys. So please don't think that branding or your own personal excellence should at any stage be overlooked or maybe not given as much TLC as you would give to everything else. So it's really, really important that you understand that. For me, this is my brand, okay? Now this brand's been around for a little while, but since running my own media company for the last 3 years, since leaving Channel 10 in 2012, I had to establish a brand that resonated with people I dealt with, and a brand that wasn't just about me being on TV, or me being on the radio, or me being an MC, or me being a media strategist, or me helping write, me helping do anything like that. So I actually spoke to someone about it, a graphic design person that I employed and continue to employ, and said, what are we going to do? Which way do we look at it? Now, Cozalive has been a Twitter handle of mine since Twitter has been around. Coza is my nickname, and Live is probably what I was best known as. For my live crosses, for my live work, for my live stand-ups, all those sort of things as well. We combine the two of them. Media and communication, and it's not communications, it's communication. One thing, communicating. Me and you, me and you. It's not communications, it's communication. And you've got to remember that. When you're out there selling your brand, you are communicating generally with one person across a desk, or generally with one person who's interviewing you. Okay, it's one-on-one. If you're on the radio, people who listen to the radio, we don't listen as a collective group like this. It's not 1941. We don't sit around and turn the radio on. You listen to the radio on a set of earphones, in your car, on your bike, walking, whatever. It's generally one-on-one. Anyone listen to the radio as a group, unless you're possibly listening to the grand final and you're a million miles away or whatever. Now you listen one-on-one, don't you? So when you're communicating, think about it in those terms as well. One-on-one. Okay? Obviously, if you're up on stage and you're addressing 200 people, that's different. But primarily, most human interaction is one-on-one. You're trying to get your case across. Why should you sponsor me? To one person, maybe two or three. All right? So I decided to say media and communication. And that's what I did for my brand. And that's the way it works. Megaphone Man, he's fantastic because he allows me to tell people, this is what I do. Speak loudly, speak in front of a lot of people. Megaphone Man works a treat because he's not a TV camera, he's not a radio, he's not a pen, he's not anything like that. Have a think about the way you want your brand to be represented, okay? Now, I've told you a little bit about my brand. I'm going to go around the room and get you guys to introduce yourself and give what's called an elevator speech. Right, an elevator speech is 10, 12, maybe 15 or 20 seconds. And the Americans, as they do, they invented that particular term, and it's literally, if you got in an elevator on the ground floor at a hotel, and standing right next to you is Mr. Nike, or Mr. Puma, Mr. Adidas, Mr. Reebok, Mr. whatever it is. You got 15 seconds before he gets out on the 4th floor to tell him who you are and what you're doing. It's called an elevator speech. Get that. If you guys are in elevators and you're talking about going to a couple of Paralympics, 3-time Commonwealth Games champion, get that out there nice and early because people want to know that they're around people that have excelled, that have done really well. They have no doubt at all about that. It's a bit different to someone like Luke Hodge or Jonathan Brown walking into a room and going, okay, that's Luke Hodge, right? Because we all live and work in a sporting environment, chances are you're going to know who your AFL footballers are, okay? At the VIS, there's a lot of people that compete on a global scale that aren't as well known locally, all right? And that maybe unfair? Probably not, you know. I mean, when you look at AFL footballers, there's 80,000 turn out to watch what is a domestic code at the bottom of the country that's only got 20 million population. You know what I mean? When you actually talk about the numbers, it's crazy. What you guys do on the world stage is enormous and gets watched by millions and potentially billions. But don't ever be shy at saying, hey, this is what I do and I'm bloody good at it. You know? Now, we all know why we're doing sponsorship and marketing, because we want to make heaps and heaps of money. Okay, basically, that's what you're all in here for, isn't it? It's not because of my smiling face, not because Ash makes great coffee, it's because you want more. All right, you want heaps of money. The guy at the top there, Michael Jordan, he still makes $110 million a year. Right? $110 million. He hasn't had a basketball in his hands for 18 years, right? But Michael Jordan, and you would remember, okay, that just became synonymous around the world. And that was it. That really changed a lot of marketing and sponsorship, because it was a company, a footwear company that went to someone and said, you know what, we'll even make these little shoes here. We'll call them Air Jordan and we'll make those for you. Right? They own 50, 60, 70%. Take any number you want of the shoe wear market. It is ridiculous. So he still makes $110 million a year. Sponsorship is known as cash and or in-kind fee paid to a property. Your property in return for access to the exploitable commercial potential associated with that property. Okay, so they want you, they want your database, they want the people who like you, they want to own you and everything about you. Right? It's no longer a novelty associated with just cool properties in sport. It's arguably the most important weapon in a $100 billion advertising industry. Ultimately, it's about selling products or services. But you've also got to be delivering as well. You've got to be delivering results, and you've got to be able to be delivering who you are as a person. Right? That's what you need to be doing. They're chosen usually to represent a target market. They may be elite athletes, they may be attractive athletes, they may be edgy athletes. They may not be any of those. You might have another company that simply says, I really love what Kelly does, and I want her. Now, Kelly fits into all of those things. All right? But you might find that they simply say, I want this for this particular reason. They're looking for someone that represents their desired image to be able to sell products. So they want to see in you what they want to also see in their customers and what they want to put out. So a BMX sponsorship is probably going to be different to a distance runner. It's probably going to be different to a rower. It's going to be different to a road cyclist. I mean, BMX is cycling at the Olympics, comes under that genre, but the sponsors are going to be different to some guy that's doing 160 k's on the road. Because the needs and the people that ride BMX are probably different to the people that ride road bikes. You know, I mean, we have to work out where our strengths are and what we're going to be doing. So, a BMX sponsorship for you, Josh, it's probably not going to be Accenture or KPMG. You know, it's probably not going to be an accounting firm. But it might be something else that is BMX focused. It might be something else that is aimed at the people that come and watch you perform in your sport. So you need to be able to pick what you're looking for. When searching for companies to sponsor you, consider your own image. What do you represent? Okay? Something that Carol represents is different to something Matt represents. Now, part of that's because you're a girl, you're a boy. Part of it's because you're just a week or two older than Matt. Part of your profile is building an audience. Appearing at a race isn't enough. Winning doesn't always equal sponsorship. Right? Now, someone like Jordan, Tiger Woods, they don't have to actively build an audience, okay? Because where they win and what they do is already televised to millions and billions, okay? Whereas sometimes what we do in this room doesn't enjoy that same level of media support. So winning doesn't necessarily equate to sponsorship. You've got to remove that out of your head. You've got to think that you've actually got to actively pursue this as a separate charter to winning or losing on the track, in the pool, wherever you're doing, okay? So what's that mean? It's called an online portfolio these days, okay? And that means that you have to have a presence. Now, how do you have a presence? Do you start writing a blog? Okay? Do you start doing that sort of thing? And there's got to be a bit of commitment, okay? Now, Richard, I know you're probably pretty active in this sort of space, but you would take time to actually do it. You've got to sit down and do it. You've got to actually take the time to, get out there and do it. Appearances. Get out and about. Spread the word. Shake a few hands. Say good day. Now, I'm aware that, as Richard said, your primary role is training and being as good as you can possibly be. Okay? So, all of this has to find a window of opportunity somewhere in what is a pretty busy life. But appearances, if you can get out there, there's nothing better for you to be selling yourself than anyone else. You can have a manager get out there, you can have someone from the VIS get out there, I can get out there and do it. But if you've got the passion, you shake the hand, you go and do this, hey, how you going, you find a bit of common ground, who do you barrack for, what do you do, and your own appearances. Interviews. Alright, interviews. Now, when you're doing an interview, you don't want to be like the kid in the orphanage on the 25th of December and have no presence. Okay? You need to be out there and have a presence. Have something to say. Be out there, be active, do something a little unusual. When I was doing media training for people 5, 8, 10 years ago, I really hardly mentioned social media. Might have touched on Facebook a little bit, whatever. Now, with all the social medias out there, it multiplies really quickly. And if you can get something that goes and spreads, that's what you need to be doing. And all of a sudden, Mr. Reebok or Mr. Nike sitting there comes across his desk because one of his peanut sales guys said, hey, check out this guy. Right? Then it happens. Now, sometimes it happens by chance, sometimes you can try and manufacture those situations. So, have a presence. And when you're being interviewed, be interesting and interested. Okay? Have something to say. Now, I'm not saying push all your mates under the bus or trash the VIS or, I'm not saying be controversial in that way, but provide an insight into your life. Because we don't all live your lives. Right? We don't. And Bob and Betty Stringbag out there don't live your life. They hear about your life, or they see your life, or they read about your life, but we don't live it. We don't. So something you reckon is really mundane, all of a sudden someone driving along the car goes, choose. Right? When I started in radio, I had a program director who used to say to me, he said, I want a shit eight every day. I didn't know what that was. But he wants people driving along in cars for me to be able to deliver a fact where they go, shit eight, I didn't know. Right? And that's what it is. So you've got to think about it in those terms, because what you might consider boring, mundane, training, pain in the ass, blah, 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 when you actually get it out there and you invite people to have a little bit of your life. Now this is bending into a little bit of media training, but I wanted to put a bit of that in there as well, because that's what you have to do. If you're a speaker on stage, so you might be a guest speaker, so it's a Northcote Rotary or it's whatever it is, take along a prepared intro as well. Okay? So that when old mate is up there doing an intro, he doesn't suddenly say, oh, and here's Richard Coolman, who's a wheelchair basketballer. You actually get your name, what it is you do, 3-time Commonwealth Games champion, you get all that, so you can take it in. You say, hey, look, I'll just make it easy for you, Kel. Here's a bit of intro for you. And you can even include on that a couple of questions. So to get them started, if you're doing a Q&A in a public speaking session, you can do that as well. Have that ready to go. Have that just in your armoury. Have it sitting on your laptop or your iPad or whatever. Be able to print it off. And going into media training again, which is a different component of what I do, but the ABC of acknowledge, bridge, communicate. If you are in a position where you think this interviewer knows absolutely nothing, let them ask the question. And you go, yeah, well, that's really interesting, but I'll tell you what, a funny story happened to me when. So you acknowledge the question, you bridge, and then you communicate what you want. ABC. Okay? All right? Right, you got to work this out. Do you want shoes? Do you want cash? Do you want a car? Do you want equipment? Do you want meals? Do you want travel? Do you want accommodation? Do you want coaching? Right? Narrow your focus again. This is a bit about what this morning's about. Making sure that you know what it is you're going to be asking for. Don't just turn up and say, hey, I'd like to be sponsored. And they sort of say, well, what do you want? It's like, oh, $2,000 and a pair of shoes. Go in there and say, hey, listen, all I need, $2,000, pair of shoes, love that, that'd be great. I'll be out of your hair, it'd be fantastic. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take a Twitter shot now, I'll post it, and fantastic, thanks very much. Right? Be confident about what it is you're asking about. Check with your national governing body though and the VIS about size, shape, colour, all that sort of thing, okay? Don't go out and say to a sponsor, listen, I'll wear a headband that says, you know, X drinks across that, and the VIS say, you can't do that in competition, that doesn't work, right? You can't do that, you know, we can't even take a picture of your trainer. So just check. You need to be proactive. Think about smaller businesses. Absolutely nothing wrong with honing your skills on some smaller businesses. The personal touch. Some of them might even know you. Someone that you're not asking the world of, but you just refine what it is in terms of a sponsorship proposal. You refine how it is that you sell yourself. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. A lot of smaller businesses obviously sponsor. You go to Calder Park and watch the drag meetings there. And it's not big sponsors, it's smaller guys that run building companies and cranes and things like that. But they love it because they love the sport and they're happy to try and give to some guy who's doing it. They're not household names, but within that particular community, they get great value. So think about that. There's two choices. You can either own a company's already involved, okay? And I know that someone like Jerry Ryan, who's a fantastic benefactor, obviously, and has been involved with Jaco across a whole range of sports, would have so many things come through his desk because people see Jaco in horse racing, women's basketball and cycling and all those sort of things as well. So you can do that, or try to take your sport to a new audience. Try and find a way to introduce someone new to the world of sponsorship and going and doing that. Tell them who you are, tell them the size and the demographics of your audience. Who watches the sport? Who comes along and sees it? Do you perform in front of 20 people, 200 people, 2,000 people, 20,000 people? When you're talking about it, 50 to 100 words, that elevator speech again, really keep trying to pressure it down. So like Kelly said, maybe having a 2-page intro, because by the time you get there, everyone's like, oh, that's okay, all right? And then you've got to try and rev them back up. 50 to 100 words. And when you're refining it, this is the sort of stuff, keep it very short and to the point, practice it on family and friends. Do that. Practice it in the car. Who are you? Had this change of lights, right? Red, green, yellow. It's going to take you 40 seconds. What can I say in 40 seconds about me? Practice it in the car. I'm serious. You all think I'm a nutcase, right? Until you actually sit there and go, wow, that either took too long or too short. Seriously, practice it to change your lights. No one else can hear. And if you really want to do it, record it into your phone. Right? Thank you. When you come to branding, okay, you need to have a value proposition. What is your value? What value are you going to give? Why should someone say, okay, here's this brand new racing outfit, this is what I'm going to give you, right? Why? What's the value for them? What's your price? Are you too cheap? Are you too expensive? You're a brand, you're a commodity, you're a property. It's always hard to put a price on your own head. Always tough to do that. And sometimes you need to get a gauge of, okay, so if the top person in my sport is earning this, and the battler's earning this, where do I fit in? Where's realistic enough to fit in? Okay, so you need to be aware of your price, your product benefits. That goes again around to that value proposition. What can you do to help benefit the people who are pushing those products? Your customer service. Do you have a smiley face? Do you get in there and shake their hand? Or are you a bit sort of Captain Grumpy and, you know, oh, I'm going to do this. Think about your product and your customer service. Now, you're not working at mine, you're not selling shoes or hair care or suits or anything like that. You're actually selling yourself. So your own customer service. Your company name, your logo, your repetition, strong impression. I showed you mine at the start, right? And that came out of about half a dozen different versions. Originally, Megaphone Man was in the middle, and the typeset was a little bit different. We moved it around, spaced it, and I really like it, which is great. And obviously, for a lot of people, they then remember what it is. So think about that. Think about maybe investing in some graphic design. If you've got a mate who does it, if you've got someone that, so that when you hand something out, you have it at the top. Okay, this is what I do. Here I am. So have a think about it. Logo, branding. Because while we're talking about you, we're talking about a property. We're talking about a startup business, if you like. Right? That's what we're talking about. So while it's you, It's also something that has a value to it. Have a think about how you can have your own brand creativity. Tickets and invitations to events you're at or competing at, hospitality. Hey, come along and watch me actually do it. Come along and see me do it. Here's 2 tickets. Bring your wife, bring your kids. Right? Beg, borrow and steal. But if you can get someone to come along and go and do it. I know a rugby league team that actually used to put people they wanted sponsorship for on the 50-metre line in plastic chairs about that far in from the perimeter. Right? The guys would sit there and 2 blokes weighing 110 kilos would run into each other and fall down on the ground and then go, holy moly, like these guys are serious. Offer a regular training workshop or motivation session. This is something that isn't done enough. And I know that if I was running I've got a series of employees, but if I had 200 employees, and I could say, right, guess what? Simplice is going to come in, right? And we don't even need weights. Everyone bring a brick from home. Everyone, whatever, do this. He's going to run you through his regular training system. Right? So you've got 45 people come off the factory floor. You've got 20 people that work at reception or an admin. You've got all these people coming in and being able to do it. Right? Bring your bike from home. Bring your bike from home. Come for a ride. Don't ever underestimate that. That's one really big one. Write it all down, put it in your phone. That one. Regular training workshop, motivation session. Have a serious think about how you can do that. The web content for sponsor websites, web events, contests. Now you're already writing some blogs and some bits and pieces. You say to a sponsor, listen, I'll write you a weekly blog. Yep, I know you probably do it at 11 o'clock at night. It might be the last thing I think about. All of a sudden it turns up, it's on their website, they then spruik it, they tweet it out, they go and do that. So you provide that value add. Right? And that might even be a travel blog. It might be you heading back over to the States or you doing something like this. Guess what? This is what I'm doing as well. Get creative with sponsored products, share on social media. I've touched on that a little bit about doing something, as I said, don't kill yourself, but doing something a little bit unusual that people can get excited about, that people can actually share with their friends. Use of logos, images, trademarks on marketing websites, social media platforms. Once you've got that logo, get it out there. Make sure it's right, get it out there. Make sure it represents you. So every time someone sees it, a bit of correspondence, an email, here's a business card, this is a web link, right? They see it, it becomes synonymous with you. Sponsor media endorsements and appearances, special event invites. Now that's something else you can do with your sponsors. Hey, guess what? The VIS is having an open day. You guys all turn up here for work. But if I've been stopped 100 people down in Clarendon Street right now and said, do you know what the inside of the VIS looks like? How many do you reckon would say, I don't know what it looks like? No clue. No clue. For this is your workspace. For someone else coming in off the street, you suddenly go, wow, look who's over in the corner, it's so-and-so. Have a think about that. Have a think about leveraging this place. Have a think about leveraging what it is that you do. People don't know. Don't be bored with your own workplace because it's really, really interesting. It is really, really interesting. Who could help you as well? Hey, guess what? This is my coach. Here he is. You know, someone like Derek. Hey, it's Derek. Oh, what are you talking about? What do you think of some of this? Whatever. All right? Value add those sort of things as well. Introductions, cross promotions of other sponsors. So you all of a sudden you have someone who's giving you shoes and someone else giving you bikes, and you suddenly say, hang on a minute, can my shoe make his bike a bit cheaper, and can my bike make his shoes a bit cheaper, and become a bit of a middle person and value add to those sort of things as well. Other ideas, regular newsletter, again with the branding. Now if you look up Amazon.com, you hear someone on the radio and they go, my book, or that book, or it, you put that in Amazon, don't come up. Right? You actually need to use the name of the product you're selling, and that's your name. Right? It's your name and what you do. Use your name. I'll put crowdfunding up there as well. There's a website called Sportaroo. Anyone aware of Sportaroo at all? Okay, so I've got no affiliation with it. I'm not necessarily promoting it, but it does that sort of crowdfunding kind of thing where they set it to me. They say, okay, X needs $5,000 to be able to go to Colorado to compete in whatever, and people get involved.
The regular newsletters, I think regular content full stop on your online platforms is really important. So if you have set up a website or set up a blog, don't update it every 4, 5, 6 months. Make sure it's done on a monthly basis, so that you're drawing
even weekly.
or your social media. There's no point in having social media accounts if you're not going to use them properly. So I've talked to Richard about it a little bit, and there are programs that you can use to kind of pre-schedule all your updates and make sure that they're consistent across all your platforms, because I know it's time-consuming updating everything manually. So there are things that you can use so that it takes the pain out of the manual updating. So I can talk to you more about that if you want to know, but regular content is key, basically.
You should invest in the .com or .com.au, okay? And the other thing is get your mail as a part of that as well, right? So Daryl becomes daryl@darylgeorge.com or whatever, and that's what it is, because it also presents quite a professional face to whoever you're doing it with. It's not, oh, you can email me at mediananuts@gmail.com, right? It doesn't work like that. Okay, you need to have that face of professionalism, and you should own it anyway, because there'll be some squatter sitting out there saying, oh, this will be worth, whatever it is. If it becomes really big and I hang on to it, right? Own it now, own it right now, and work out a deal with whoever your web supplier, internet supplier is. I mean, what's it, $200 a year or something like that? Is it? I think to own your own domain, or 150. I mean, it's not massive amounts of money. You can own it, you can populate it, you can do what you want with your blogs, with your contacts, with your Twitter. You can hook it all in. LinkedIn, obviously, Hannah's talked about the fact that in the next couple of sessions we're going to be talking about that sort of social media, or I'm not, someone else is going to be doing it, but you can link it all through. So, and that becomes Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and have different postings for them. Again, it's time, but don't put the same thing on Facebook that you put on Insta, right? You might use a similar photo, but then describe it in much more detail and hook people in. Hey, that reminds me of the time that we were doing this, X, Y, Z, or whatever. But don't just make it all bland and uniform, because once someone's seen your tweet, then they don't need to go and check your Facebook. They don't need to go and check your Insta. Have your own hashtags as well. That's the other thing. Have your own hashtags. Whatever you're doing at the moment. Whatever you're doing at the moment, or what your aims are. If it is Road to Rio is obviously used a lot, but if it is Rio you're aiming for, or if it is, aiming up for the world champs, heading to the Gold Coast, so the hashtag becomes synonymous again with what you're doing. And if people want to look it up, they might see one tweet, because 11:30 at night they're waiting for a cab and they went through their Twitter feed, they don't normally see it, and they press on the hashtag. All of a sudden they get all this wonderful other information. All comes out. Right? So use it, be consistent in the way you're presenting it. Work on your demographic. What's interesting to your demographic? What's interesting to the people who follow you or are interested in your sport? And don't forget the analysis. We've touched on the analysis of those that are following you. What's your key message? Define what your key message is. What is it that you want to be telling the world? Every time someone hears you, sees you, what is it you want to be telling them? What's your key message? Killer proposals. Keep them simple. It's back to what Kelly said. 2 pages of introduction. What have you got to work with from there? Research. Make sure the right names. Make sure you know who you're speaking to. Make sure you know what it is you're speaking to them about, their role and what they're doing. Now, when I do a proposal, right, I make sure that I know who it is. I put their name and their title. I put the Cozalive logo. I put their logo. Put the date and where it is for them. So it's specific to them. Don't just blanket stuff out a little bit, but have the right names. Make sure there is. And if you know there's going to be 2 people in the meeting, take 3 proposals. Okay, the swan's sake. Whatever you want to do, but do it in that sort of regard. So have a think about it and notice it. Spell check and proofread. Okay. I have a 14-year-old daughter. She's actually school captain at Carey, right? And I say to her, spell check and proofread. And she sends me something. I said, can you check this out? Have you spell check and proofread it? Yeah, I have. Right, I get 2 paragraphs in, right? And I'm going, see that word? Right? That's not exactly what it should be, because sometimes if you spell check, it gives you an option of 5. You press the first one, that's not what you want, right? You actually need word number 3, so proofread it, and when you're proofreading, read out loud. Read out loud. Not in your head, read out loud, and then take the next step if you want to put it in your phone, record it in your phone, and play it back to yourself, because then you'll be reading it the way someone else reads it. But I tell you, nothing sells you like you do.
Okay.
Right? And even if you go as a double agent and say, okay, well, here's my manager, this is what we're doing. Look, I'm not going to talk nuts and bolts, but I just want to give you my vision and my passion. And sometimes, and I've even been involved in meetings like this, where the person, the talent, the property comes in, sells the vision and the passion, and says, look, see you later, I got to go training. And you might have to get training.
But he doesn't want to talk money until he
Get
gets
out.
Yeah.
Right? See you later, I've got to go train. Right? I'm off. And the manager then goes, right, now listen, we've just seen Kelly. She's worth whatever.
Yeah.
Okay? Start there, they start there. And, right, and it's not impossible. I do it all the time, and so do a lot of other people. But if you have your own price point, you can set your own passion and go, okay, listen, I'm going to put my other hat on now. Pretend I'm managing myself. How would you deal with that? What would you do? You actually have a bit of fun with it. You say, okay, well, Kelly's over there now. What are we talking about? Because this is what Kelly needs, and this is what I'm after. But nothing beats selling yourself. And the other thing is too, just on selling yourself, if you've got gold medals, signed gloves, take them with you. Seriously, take them with you. Take them with you to the meeting. Take them with you and say, hey, listen, I want another one of these. Can you help me do it? Right? And let them touch it and feel it and hold it up. And I mean, I know you get a lot of Olympic uniforms and Commonwealth Games uniforms and nationals and things like that. If there's a pair of socks or a shorts or whatever, sign for them. Hey, do your kids like baseball? Here you go. Listen, I'll sign this for you. No more than 4 pages. Don't be waiting for it, because you want people who are decision makers who are busy, because there's another 3 of you that go to see before lunch, or they've just had a fight with the wife, or the dog's gone to them, whatever. Okay, make it simple. Make it really easy for them. Your achievements. I started off by saying that. Don't downplay it. Match up the benefits that you can deliver. All right. So listen, I reckon you're heading this way. I can do this for you. Explain the dollars, how much. Be bold and confident about that. I reckon I need this, and that's knowing where your rate normally is. Okay? Knowing where your rate normally is. So that's a little bit of research sometimes. Okay? The top factory guy gets this, bottom plotter gets this, or whichever way it works. Okay? Know what it is, but be confident. Work on your location. Hey, listen, I'm in Melbourne based. I do travel a lot here, or maybe I can go and speak to each of your offices. You're a multinational company, your offices in Sydney, and Brisbane, and Melbourne, and Adelaide, and Perth. Guess what? I've got a competition in Perth next week. I'll hook up with your media and marketing manager over there. I'll go and speak to the guys before you get a competition. And here's 3 tickets for your marketing manager to come and look. How much further down the road are you in that 12 seconds than what you were to begin with? Right? Have a think about all those sort of things. Deliverables. Work on what you can deliver for them. I mean, we go over similar sort of stuff. Are you a team or an individual? Most of you here are looking for individual sponsorship. But don't forget you can say, hey, look, I'm also part of a wider group or a wider fraternity. You can rope in a few of the big names there that you want to push your best foot forward. Your goals and plans. Okay? Where do you want to go? The person, if I'm sitting there across the desk from you, I want to go, listen, you're in a great spot at the moment. Where do you want to go? Because if I'm going to give you product or cash, where are we going with it? What are we doing? Oh, well, I want to go to the World Championships. ROI. Does anyone know what ROI stands for? Return on investment. Return on investment. Where's their ROI? They are giving you something, they want something back. They also want you to go really well, and they're probably doing it because they're quite generous too, so don't ever say that they won't, but what is their return on investment? Do not over-offer. Okay, sometimes you get one chance, and if you can deliver X, don't be trying to tell me you can deliver Z, okay? Don't be suddenly there saying, oh yeah, come and meet me, I'll introduce you to whoever, or we can do this, or I'll get you this much media exposure. It'll be on all the channels, alright? Don't over-offer. You're better off just pegging it back 10%, and then if it does, all of a sudden they go, wow, that was on every channel. You go, wow, that was fantastic, wasn't it? It was good. So it's like a bit of a surprise. Don't go over offering. We've touched on a bit of this, great content, videos, reviews, written blogs, lots of imagery, brand association, your name, your personality, access to your social media network that will make you more attractive. If you go, listen, I've got 3,000 Twitter followers. As soon as I start tweeting that, hey, I'm on board with whatever, this is what I'm doing. Brand representation, product endorsement, brand ambassador face. These are things you can put into to say, listen, I'd love to become the face of, or I'd love to be a brand ambassador for. Access to certain markets, appeal to firms looking to expand. So you might find that there's a firm that is involved in whatever it is, soft drink, and they say, listen, we've done nothing with triathletes, we haven't done anything with that. We've got a new low carb, low sugar, new butte, whatever, coming out, and you go to them and say, hey, listen, I can take this to the triathlon market for it. You know, we can get rid of a few of those other energy drinks, we can go and do that. So have a think about firms that are wanting to expand into your area. Maybe able to attend events to attract press mentions. That's a lot of, hopefully, if your manager's pushing you out there a little bit, hey, here's the opening of, this is it. Social pages are full of athletes or ex-athletes all the time out there. See what you can do and work your way into those. Now, sometimes I'll take a photo, sometimes I won't, sometimes it's nice to be there, sometimes you get there and someone else goes, what are you doing here? Have a think about trying to work your way. And they're not easy things, but I'm putting them on your plate to say, have a think about them. Have a think about what you can do or the contacts you've got, the way you can make yourself somewhere where all of a sudden on a Sunday, Herald Sun, it's like, hey, here's so-and-so, so-and-so. And then you're there, all right? Hospitality packages, tickets for VIP facilities to your sporting events, touched on that, you know, think about that. Help motivate a sponsor's workforce, access to other sponsors and forming strategic partnerships. There is this, and I won't run through it all, but that's from Camelback, you know, that make their drink bottles and things, what have you. That's on their website. Thrilled to hear from you. Encouraging, enthusiasm, thought. As you can imagine, we get a lot of sponsorship requests and try to evaluate them all carefully. If you're a sponsorship committee finds it's good, if our sponsorship committee finds a good fit, we'll get in touch with you. First name, right? All these things are out there. Now, I'm not necessarily saying you need to put your name down for all these, but templates exist of what companies want to know information about you. Right? How to stand out? Video. Video is a really good way because it's very easily transferable. Short, quick, you can do it. It's really, really simple. It's something that's active, people can get involved in. Gift packs. Go and see someone, take them something if you want. Take them, or after you've seen them, hey, look, thanks for your time, here's a $20 coffee voucher, or here's a whatever. Just have a think about, I mean, you're selling, you've been salesmen and saleswomen. The guys out there that are selling cars and insurance and everything else, they're doing this stuff. They do it all the time. Know them, not just you. All right? Personalise them. Make it important to them. Hey, listen, I know that you really like, weightlifting because your uncle was represented Australia in the 56 Olympics. I don't know. I mean, have a think about it. Google some names of people you're going to see. Real mail is always good too. If you're going to send something to someone, get an actual card or envelope, something that doesn't just come up, read, delete. Knock out references. Have a think about the tallest, biggest tree in your forest, in your sporting field. Who is it? Do you know them? Got access to them? Will they help you out? Someone wrote a reference and said, hey, guess what? This guy here, I'm writing this reference for. All of a sudden, someone who's sitting there across the desk on the 38th floor of the Rialto building in Melbourne, suddenly goes, oh, geez, serious, you know him. Like, awesome. What are they like? Now, you might only know them fleetingly, you might have been introduced, the VIS might be able to help you out, the manager might be able to help you out. Think about that. Partnership, that's the way you want to phrase it. It's a partnership. Right? The other thing is say hello at events. If you see people around, walk up, hi, g'day, I'm Kelly, this is what I do. Fantastic. Take the time to do it. Don't pester them, don't turn into the Alistair Clarkson, left hook. But just say, hey, look, I won't take up a lot of your time. Here's my card, can I give you a call? Have you got a card? And when you give them the card's got your website, your email, your logo. They look at it, the next next bit of correspondence they get is exactly the same. And they go, oh, okay, right, there's God's number. Right? You don't have a piece of paper where you go, listen, I'll chuck down my mobile phone number and ring the bell. Now, it is a bit of an investment, but it's an investment in image. That's what it is. It's an investment in image. And that is fake it till you make it. Right? There's famous stories of guys that have done mergers and acquisitions and whatever, and they go and hire a Ferrari to drive to the meeting, and then drive around the block for 4 times before they can park right in front of the restaurant where it's all happening, and then they get out of the Ferrari, and the guy sitting in the restaurant goes, oh, wow, you must be important, he's driving a Ferrari, well, he hired it for the day, you know what I mean? There's all that sort of stuff. Musicians do that all the time, right? Okay, act like you're already sponsored, like you're already up to the top of the tree, you're already starting to achieve, and you all are achieving. You're here for a reason. You're already 2 steps ahead of someone who's out there trying it. You're actually here doing it. So walk around, put the shoulders back. Hey, this is what I do. You want to be involved in me. That's the body language you want to see. Not necessarily the words, but you want to actually... So remember that when you're walking around. Remember that in the way you dress, the way you present yourself. Right? That you're actually halfway there and that they want to be involved with you. Do not lie. Don't tell people something you ain't. Okay? Because while you consider it workplace at the moment, while you consider what you're doing is hard work and everything else, you are already a lot of steps in front of everyone else. You might be as far up the chain as you want to be yet, right? But don't that comes undone, and then marketing managers talk, and then media managers talk, and that's a whole lot of it. Don't be afraid. If it is to be, it is up to me. That is 10 2-letter words that sum up everything that everyone should be involved in. If it is to be, it is up to me. You guys have to decide. Don't ignore calls or contacts. Follow up everything. Follow it all up. Take the time. Bring them in the car. Email them when you can. Don't trash a former sponsor. Oh, yeah, no, good. I'm really glad I'm with you. It's a bit like the bloke that's cheating on his wife, and the girlfriend's looking, oh, I'm really glad you're with me because he won't possibly cheat on me. Don't gossip about the dollars. Don't be out there going, hey, guess what? You know, it turns out this. Just be really gracious about it. Don't forget to say thank you. Don't overlook a little gift. Don't be greedy. If they say, hey, listen, we reckon in our sponsorship structure you're on a tier 3, right, and we're going to give you money for tier 3, I wouldn't be in there being a pain in the backside saying, hey, listen, I reckon on tier 2. What you can do is say, hey, look, that's really terrific. What a great starting point. That's fantastic. Hopefully in 12 months' time I can prove to you on the tier 2. Alright, here's good old Garrett Batzel. He's going to be racing from upstate New York to NASCAR. He's all for like 11 years old, but they've already got him out. Marketing partnership presentation. Okay? They get him out and they do it. And here's good old Andrea. My goal. There you go. To compete at upcoming NPC Southern States Fitness Competition in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, this is what I've done. Here I am. Bikini Class A 5th place. Masters 2nd place. These are different ways to be able to do it. And as I said, sometimes you can do it where you say, okay, for this, you get this. Here's what you get for £5, 492, 191. Lots of different ways to carve up the pie. You don't have to just walk in and say, here is product X and I want Y. The other thing is video.
Currently ranked in the top 10 of Australia, and I've had several top 3 placings in both America and New Zealand.
He writes his name down the bottom. If you missed it at the start, you get to find out who he is.
I have a strong passion for my own progression in VMS and media production.
He's trying to get sponsorship.
Australian Action team.
Australian Action
With my busy and active lifestyle, I believe it's a perfect addition to my daily activities being such a versatile piece of equipment. So when I do become a part of the Australian Action team, I'll be implementing footage on a weekly basis. I'll be doing strictly Australian Action edits, Australian Action trip of the week, and Australian Action.
So tell us what he's going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Here's an example of me doing it. or freestyle?
More than competition. I've got a game plan, my future, and yours.
Doesn't run all that long. You can see it's really finished.
Check out a couple more.
I don't know how you're going to do it. Right, let me use some technology. Check this link.
There's something for that.
I'm going to call it then, right?
Wait, we made all the chocolate and chocolate. Steady action cam. I'll see you soon.
Okay, pretty simple. GoPro on his bike, a few different stunts, mate with the camera, sitting down, recorded it twice, had a 2-camera shoot, had the one sideways as well, had his message, this is what I can do for you, this is what I'm going to be doing. Now, my understanding is he's actually sponsored now by that team, okay? Because he used their medium, what they were doing, simple, right? He said, I've already been, this is what I've done, 3 places in the top 3 of whatever. Here's my name, supered his name down the bottom, so we know who he is. Even if we missed it at the start, we get it again. He repeats his name at the end. Very directional, very pointed. It's not just a, hey, I want some sponsorship, I'd love to work with a film organisation. Sony Action Cam. Only be doing Sony Action Cameras. Only be doing this, only be doing that. So, there you go. Action time for you guys. The list, your brand, what you do, and the list of them. Who is it you're targeting? Where are you going? What are you going to take to them? And then the proposal before you go. So they're the 2 things to leave you with. That's your action plan for now. It's like anything else. It's like training. It's like, as I said, it's like your training. It's like your diet. It's like anything else. You need to just go through it. So for now, that's your action plan. You and them, the list.